From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
I'm Casey Conlon. Are you searching for some new books? Well, come to the Central Christian Church, because if you can't find it here over the next 2 weeks, you're probably not going to find it.
We're still in a pandemic. We're not completely out of this, but we recognize the importance of graduation in Billings, Montana, and we want to try to accommodate.
Well, some changes coming to this year's graduation ceremonies for School District 2. Superintendent Greg Upham announces a limited number of guests instead of a previously planned ticket system. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your Monday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, some big changes across the board when we look at how this year is shaping up compared to 2020. As COVID-19 cases drop in our community and vaccinations are readily available, more family and friends can now attend grad ceremonies on Sunday, May 30th. School District 2 previously announced just 6 attendees with every graduate. Tonight, that's changing. Superintendent Upham says the district has been in constant evaluation with the Unified Health Command, and now they're opening up ceremonies to include more guests. Still, he's hoping families will remain vigilant and only invite essential family and friends.
We've worked collaboratively together in Yellowstone County. I've worked with the medical community and listened to our parents and our students and tried to balance all that out. Hopefully this is another good decision that works for our entire community, and I think it takes a community to assist too. I mean, people are coming in, you have to take care of your end of it too.
Now, Upham says students and staff will be wearing masks. Graduation day for all 3 Billings Public High Schools again is set for Sunday, May 30th at Metro Park. West High graduation begins at 10 a.m. Skyview begins at 2 p.m. and Senior High will wrap up the day of graduations beginning at 6 p.m. And the last day of school for all other students across District 2 is Friday, June 5th. Okay, it's time now to take a quick look at our weather with meteorologist Ed McIntosh. Ed, the heat is on, but not everywhere.
We've got some thunderstorms that are popping up, and it's not a big surprise. We've been watching this strong storm system in the Four Corners region of the western U.S., and that's continuing to pump up some moisture and some thunderstorm activity, especially in extreme southern Montana into northern Wyoming. You can see some of those storms, especially around Cody, then little waves moving over to the Bighorn Mountains as well, and where you see the blue flickers, that's all lightning. So it does turn out to be a fairly active afternoon. But our next weather system, way off in the Pacific Northwest, is really the system that we're going to be watching as we start getting into the rest of the week. As the temperatures have warmed up into the 80s today, we're going to be watching for the chance of showers, thunderstorms to move back into the picture, and we'll even talk about some snow. All that coming up with the forecast details in a little bit.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Well, summer is right around the corner, and that means another fire season. Senator Steve Daines believes it's still critical to reform forest management, and he tells MTN's Dennis Bragg that he's preparing for another run at a bill to make those changes.
Jill, Senator Daines tells me the U.S. still needs a package of solutions to resolve the conditions that have left death and destruction in the aftermath of recent fire seasons, and he's ready to take another pass at a measure which got traction in Congress last fall.
I think we're going to take the same bill and move forward with it. We got very close, and we should be reintroducing this very soon.
The Emergency Wildfire and Public Safety Act of 2020 stalled in the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee as attention turned to politics and the pandemic. But Daines believes the proposals are still sound.
We're seeing pressure from many areas now to move forward here with forest management reform. We've got bipartisan support. Dianne Feinstein, the Democrat from California, is working with me on a comprehensive forest management bill that would help us create better paying jobs here in Montana, promotes public safety, and reduces the risk of these catastrophic wildfires.
And there are specialized steps directed at hazards behind many of the recent fires.
We would use tools that would expedite thinning projects along transmission lines. So that's another problem. We've seen that in California and in Montana, where, believe it or not, there's way too much red tape to get in and do some common sense thinning projects along electric transmission lines. That's just another example of what needs to be done to get people back in the forests, managing the forests, and keeping us safer.
Daines also believes sustainable timber harvest is part of the solution, especially in light of skyrocketing lumber prices.
And the reason we have fewer sawmills today than we did when I was growing up is we had constraints in logs. Because the environmental groups litigate these timber harvests to go in and do common sense thinning in the forests. and consequently there's a shortage of logs, and we've seen mills closing down over the years, and now it's become very painful for so many Montanans because of the high price of lumber.
In Missoula, Dennis Bragg, MTN News.
And Daines hopes to have the bill introduced soon, and he does believe there is a good chance of getting a forest management bill passed. Well, the Supreme Court is set to look at a major case on abortion. The justices will look at a case out of Mississippi which looks to roll back abortion rights. The case would stop abortions after the 15th week of pregnancy. According to the CDC, the majority of abortions take place during the first 13 weeks of pregnancy. Mississippi's appeal is the first major abortion-related case to reach the Supreme Court from a wave of state laws intended to challenge the 1973 Roe v. Wade decision. Now, the case will likely be argued in the fall, with a decision coming down in the spring of 2022. Now, the High Court's decision today to take up this case banning those later-term abortions could have ramifications here in Montana, where a similar ban became law just weeks ago. But Montana's own state constitution also is a factor in the fate of new abortion restrictions across the state. Currently, Montana's new law bans abortions after 20 weeks. Abortion opponents, like the Montana Family Foundation, say both bans are common sense laws that protect unborn children that have a heartbeat and can feel pain. It also says the U.S. Supreme Court has often recognized that states can regulate late-term abortion. But Martha Stahl of Planned Parenthood in Montana says many late-term abortion bans are on hold as they move through the federal courts. She says today's decision by the court to accept the Mississippi case is not good news for abortion rights and could indicate the court may uphold such bans. However, she also notes that Montana's state constitution has a stronger right to privacy than the U.S. Constitution and could have the last word.
There are states that have no constitutional protections around the right to abortion. And in those states, they would have to operate under what the Supreme Court said. But because Montana's state constitution is stronger, Montana is sort of an exception to that. Once the Supreme Court says we're upholding what this one state did, it then does go back to the rest of the states to either do something proactively or not.
And abortion rights advocates have indicated they do plan to challenge Montana's late-term abortion law in court. Well, a rash of vandalism struck Helena overnight, including the iconic Cathedral of St. Helena. Take a look. This morning, employees at the cathedral discovered multiple incidents of vandalism on the south side of the historic building. That vandalism had vulgar and offensive imagery. Similar images were also reported at other locations around the city, including several vehicles and one Helena retirement community. Police are still searching for a suspect and say they do not have an estimate on all the damage. A decision to reopen the long-closed U.S.-Canada border is expected this week. The world's longest international border has been closed since March 2020 to most non-essential travel. It has dramatically reduced land and air traffic between the two countries. The restrictions have hit the tourism and airline sectors very hard. Now, experts say those industries have lost over $16 billion. Canada is well behind the U.S. in vaccinations, and that could play a role in the decision to open the border. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News, right here on Q2, a tale about a man gearing up to throw a party with a different twist, celebrating books, a community event not to miss.
Hi everybody, Scott Breen at Dealer Park, where your Mustangs are opening camp. Season opener, in fact, already upon us Saturday. That's right, your latest update straight ahead.